podcast, talking mad shit about uninteresting facts. Wax's podcast, listen to it every Wednesday.
That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. I just basked. Damn, that's a hard word to say, too. I've been discovering hard words to say on this podcast. Basked. B-A-S-K-E-D. Basked. Because if I was in the present tense, I would say, yeah, I just want to bask in that. But since that already happened, since I already bathed myself metaphorically and spiritually in the beauty of Lucas from Ohio's brand new Wax's podcast jingle, since at this point that happened about a minute ago, I can't use the present tense verb of the word bask. So I have to say that I basked. Basked. It's weird how many syllables the letter S can add. Because if I said, if Lucas from Ohio's podcast jingle was not a podcast jingle, and instead it was a brownie recipe, a cookie recipe, and instead of basking, I was baking. And I said the same dumb speech that I just said, except instead of saying that in the past I basked, in the past I baked. If I said I were to currently bake, or in the past I baked, both of those are one-syllable words. Even baked, it's kind of a two-syllable word. Is baked, because it's not baked. It's not like naked, even though it's spelled very similarly. I baked whilst naked. I baked while I was naked. Oh, man. But baked. See, it depends how you say it. If you really try to pronounce it, if you're really thinking about the word, baked. That's almost a three-syllable word. Baked. But if you really just say it in passing, like, yo, me and my homies were out there. Yesterday, you should have seen it. We baked some cookies. You don't even really say the D. You just say it like bake. Yo, y'all should have seen it yesterday, right after we smoked a bunch of crack. Me and my homies got together and baked some cookies. Oh, my God, y'all. Y'all should have seen this shit yesterday. First, we smoked a bunch of crack. Then we killed a bunch of innocent civilians. And then, wouldn't you know it, after that, we baked some cookies. That's how you would say it. You wouldn't say, oh, God damn, y'all should have seen it yesterday. Right after stabbing a bunch of innocent children in the face, me and my homies got together and we baked some cookies. You wouldn't say it like that. Just wouldn't sound casual like the other way I said it. But if you say basked, that's like a four-syllable word. Now, some people would probably argue that it's actually a once basked. I need to talk to an English teacher. My mom's an English teacher. If you didn't know, in case you guys didn't know, I don't know what the fuck is going on with this recording program. I'm going to make sure. I got a report last week from a listener last week that the podcast was too soft in volume. We did get a brand new, my roommate Davey, studio mate, got a new interface, new interface modular reactor system valve. He got a new interface, new audio interface. So maybe some of the settings were placed on too low. I could have sworn I fucking put a compressor on the master fader to make it sound at least relatively loud. But this week, I will err on the side of loud. I don't want you to be over there at your job at the fucking steel mill, the sawmill. I know a lot of you have loud jobs when you're listening to the podcast. I know a lot of you guys work at the saw factory. A lot of you guys work at the fucking whistle shop. I know a lot of you guys have jobs at the fire alarm factory. I know a lot of you guys work at the Harley Davidson engine shop repair. So you need a loud podcast to get over all the fucking background noise. I know at least several dozen of you work at an anvil dropping shop. You work at a faulty piano movers association that is constantly dropping pianos. And if my podcast isn't loud enough, how the fuck are you going to be able to hear it over the sound of those crashing grand pianos? So this week I'll try to air on the louds. I'm looking at the recording, and yeah, apparently I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. I guess I just got my own headphones turned up so loud. I'm fucking deaf, y'all. Going deaf. It's just from a fucking relatively long life of playing these concerts and just constantly listening to music. And I think headphones actually damage your ears in the long term because you spend more time listening to loud music in headphones than you do on stage. I mean, think about it. There's a speaker like touching your ear. I think that does the most damage. I think they underestimate the amount of damage that headphones do to the human eardrum. Anyway, I want to have a little moment of silence real quick. I don't know if you guys remember, but many a podcast ago, I told the story about how the type of coffee creamer that I like to use, they changed the top. They changed their lid type. And the kind of I was talking about this almond milk coffee creamer that I prefer. The shit that I like is by a little brand called Califia Farms, like Wiz Khalifa, like the caliphate, that ISIS is trying to create. Except, imagine if the caliphate that ISIS was trying to create, instead of a crazy religious society where women have no rights and thieves get their arms cut off, instead of that, it's actually a farm where they make almond milk, an almond milk creamer type of supplies. Anyway, I shop at Ralph's. Ralph's is like Safeway or Giant, Food Lion, basic grocery store out here in Los Angeles and all over the West Coast and I believe beyond. It's Safeway. And they sell 3 different kinds of Califia Farms almond milk coffee creamer. And you know what? As of about 3 weeks ago, that shelf where they sold that has now turned into some other fucking shit, and they don't sell it anymore. Now, granted, I don't know for a fact. I didn't do the research. I'm only saying this because I just drank coffee. I didn't do the research. Maybe they had a falling out. Maybe the owner of Califia Farms and Ralph, they had a meeting, and Califia Farms was like, dude, can I get like 5 more cents per bottle? And they're like, nope, you're gone. We're replacing you with Silk Soy coffee creamer. We're going against your almond stance. We're gonna take that shelf that you were on, and we're gonna use it for double the dairy creamer, which is a mix between cow and goat. The opposite stance you're taking with your bullshit plant-based products. We want more animals per product. This is now cow/goat milk, almond or hazelnut creamer. There's also egg in it, as well as chicken, as well as fish. I don't know what the falling out was, but unfortunately, for some dumb reason I'm assuming. Well, why would they make this? Why would they have made this recent effort to change the type of lid that they have on their product if their real problem was going out of business? Maybe that was a last-ditch effort. Maybe they were like, the reason not enough people are buying our product is because our lid. We should make it more versatile. We should make it so you could open it without twisting it, without realizing that people like me, as I mentioned about 10 or 20 episodes ago, they go to give it a little shake and forget that this is no longer a normal twist-off cap. It's actually a lid that can open up easily. And when they go to give it that upward shake, as soon as they bring their hand down, the fucking lid opens and almond milk creamer goes all over their fucking kitchen and face. Maybe that was the downfall. Maybe Maybe their last ditch effort to improve their product got so many customers covered in almond milk. I don't know. Maybe that's why they. But my point is, rest in peace, because they no longer have a shelf at Ralph's. Califia Farms is no longer sold at my Ralph's, and I had to get another type. I actually did get the almond creamer provided by that company Silk that makes like fucking soy and almond milk and all that shit, like the Coca-Cola of fucking vegan milk. I don't know exactly. They probably bought Califia Farms. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to go to some fucking fancy schmancy grocery store, head up to Whole Foods and see if Califia Farms is over there. I don't know, but I bought this Silk one, and as I kind of suspected, why the fuck? What? This is just like, I have one life to live. I could die at any day. I could die tomorrow. Why do I think this much about almond milk? Coffee creamer. Anyway, I bought a little carton. Silk almond milk creamer comes in a carton. Like a milk that you get in elementary school. It comes in a little carton. And sure enough, just as I suspected, they've been around long enough to know that the average American loves their sugar. So I put about a third of the amount that I normally put, just to be careful. Because the thing about the Califia Farms one that I like, it's not like super sweet like fucking the shit you get at Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. It's not 90% sugar, 10% almond creamer. It's more of the opposite, and I like that. More cream, less sugar. That's what I like to say. If I decided that it wasn't sweet enough, I could add some goddamn sugar. I'm not going to decide that it's too sweet and get a fucking strainer, some type of post mixing sugar strainer. I don't know how to do that. I have no idea how the fuck that would work. I don't know how to de-sugarize. So, what the fuck is my point in all this? I'll tell you what my point in all this is. The moral of the story is, don't sell out to corporate America, folks. Or maybe do. Maybe Califia Farms, maybe Donald Califia said, you know what, man? I know that I'm a dreamer. I've always been a dreamer. That's where Donald and Almond are kind of like a... shout out to Zach Sherwin. I think I might be starting to think like him. They're kind of one of those things where you can mix up the letters. Almond and Donald. It's said to be Donald or some shit. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Anyway. It'll be like Monold, whatever. What is going on here? Donald Califia. Let me get back to the important things that are going on in this country. A made-up, fake, hypothetical person named Donald Califia that owns Califia Farms, and they just sold their product to Silk. And he says, you know what? I've always been a dreamer. Since I was young, I dreamed of America switching gradually from all this dairy stuff that's bad for the cows and bad for the earth and bad for you to these plant-based products. There's no amount of money that you could give me to switch this that I could sell out. But you know what? Steven Silk, owner of billion-dollar vegan industry. Steven Silk is actually, he owns all the soy milk and almond milk factories. But he's actually evil. He fools the world into thinking that he cares about plant-based products. But he actually sits behind his almond milk fucking farm. And he kills animals by himself and then just doesn't even use them at all. He has a dairy farm right next to his fucking soy milk farm. Except instead of providing us with that delicious dairy product, cheese, milk, cream cheese, various types of cheese, butter. He makes all the products and then he just throws it away right into the ocean. He just throws butter into the ocean all day. And he said he had heard through the grapevine that Donald Califia was this idealist. He had heard that Donald Califia said that I will never sell out for anything. I am a vegan till I die. I'm a plant-based fucking, what is that? What are they called? The do-gooders. A plant-based philanthropist. Stephen Silk said, you know what, Donald? Let's talk numbers. Let's talk numbers. 1 million. Nope. 2 million. Nope. 3 million. Nope. 4. Nope. 5 million. Nope. 6 million. Nope. 7 million. You want more? Donald Califia laughed. He said, $8 million? That's as high as you're going to go? Steve Silk said, ha ha ha, but do you know? Donald Califia said, ooh, what is that supposed to mean? Steve Silk said, how about $117 million? Donald Califia said, not even for 117 shall I sell. Steve Silk said, you're going to see a cold day in hell. Donald Califia said, you're going to need to give me a few more mil. Steve Silk said, how about a cool bill? $1 billion, Mr. Califia. Donald said, I'm sold. Donald said, give me the money. I'm going to go fucking eat meat and do cocaine until I die and go to hell. The hell that I believe in, because I actually am a devout Christian. And you know what? Even though I 100% believe in an afterlife that could be possibly 100% negative, fire and brimstone the whole time I'm there, I'm still going to accept that $1 billion. And with the rest of my life, and I'm old already, by the way. It took me my whole life to build my almond milk empire, which is only worth about $3 million. But you're going to fucking give me $1 billion. Steve Silk said, yeah, I'm not about the money. I'm about watching people fall. I'm about the ethics, and I mean bad ethics. So Califia walked away with his $1 billion. He was 73. He can't even get an erection anymore, and he still wants whores. So he flew to Amsterdam. He's going to just eat mushrooms, have sex with various prostitutes, do cocaine, and hope that he lived for long enough to make the $1 billion worth going to hell for eternity. And you know what? The plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. And now Donald is down there in hell saying, well, that $1 billion isn't doing much right now because I never had any children. And somehow, without me noticing it, Steve Silk had written into the contract that if I do die, I get the money back. I should have read the fine print. Sad. So the moral of the story is, don't fucking sell out. I guess right now you could say that I'm not selling out because I'm independent. I'll tell you honestly, though, there's a big problem with independence. Especially when you're not, people are always like, I'm a boss. I'm a fucking boss. Well, I'm a boss too. I'm my own boss. I'm my own boss. And you think that's cool because you're like, I do what I want, when I want, I make the rules. But the problem is when you're your own boss, you're also your own worker, and you tend to be pretty lenient on yourself. Like, I'm my own boss, and I give way too many vacation days. I'll fucking somehow convince myself that I'm sick when I'm not. It's tough, man. Took a few too many days off this past week. But never fear. Never fear. All fearful people out there, stop doing that. Do I have anything written down? Wow, that's random. I don't know why I wanted to talk about that. I was just thinking about this week. I was thinking about the evolution of television. How a lot of us now, everything we watch is on demand. Watch what we want, when we want, on these beautiful televisions. Me and my boy T-Rex actually randomly stopped by a Best Buy. We were wondering when was the last time at Best Buy a TV was even available that wasn't flat screen, one that had like a long back to it, like a box. Had to have been fucking 10 years ago. I don't know, 8 years ago. But for some reason, I started thinking about back in the day when people would buy satellite dishes. And I know people still buy satellite dishes and put them on their roof, these little tiny satellites. But there was a family in my neighborhood. They were called the Donovans. I doubt they listen to this podcast. If they do, shout out to y'all. I still love all of you. Great people. But they bought their dad bought a satellite dish. They had a gazillion channels. They had channels from all over the world. They could get any fucking channel. And I think it depended on like what type of time of day it was. If your satellite could receive the signal from fucking Chinese volleyball network, you could only watch the Chinese volleyball network at 4 a.m. or something. But they had a fucking satellite dish that was so big, and I guess maybe so dangerous because kids shouldn't be playing on it, that they had to build a fence around it. I mean, I'm talking about a square area that was probably 20 by 20. And in the middle was this big satellite. It looked like they were fucking scientists. It looked like it was a fucking NASA installation. And I'm just wondering, like, first of all, I'm wondering where that is now, because it's definitely not there. It's not like the people that because they moved out. The people that live there now, who, by the way, that old neighborhood, the neighborhood where I grew up at, like the people who live in that house now, they built this big, weird-looking. It looks like a zoo. That house looks like it. It looks like that. You expect a giraffe's neck and head to peer up from the side of it. Like they built this big-ass white fence around it that just doesn't fit in the neighborhood. It's funny as shit. It's very like Jed Clampett. It's very, very fucking. What are those people called? Jed Clampett. Very near, very kept the family fed. And one day he was shooting at some food. And up from the ground came a bubbling crude. Oil, that is. Black gold. Texas tea. The Beverly Hillbillies. I wonder what percentage of the people listening to this right now even got that reference before I said it or when I said it. That's an old show for me. That's like when I was a child. At Nick at Night, they'd show that show. I don't know when the Beverly Hillbillies was actually on. But the Beverly Hillbillies now live in Dunkirk, Maryland. That area I grew up has become. I mean, it was okay when I grew up, but now any house that gets put there is worth a lot of money. And the neighborhoods that used to be pretty nice, where everybody owned their house, they're all rental houses now. So my parents' neighborhood, most people that in their rent, people that rent their houses compared to people that own their houses, like it's just not gonna be as nice. You know what I mean? And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground came a bubbling crude. There was a show called The Beverly Hillbillies. Probably was out in the 60s, American 60s, maybe even late 50s. No, it's probably the 60s and early 70s. And it was about a family from Texas. In the intro of the show, they had this song, and the guy, Jed Clampett or whatever, was out in the woods with his rifle, I think shooting at a squirrel or a possum or some shit, trying to feed his family. And he accidentally shot the ground. And I guess the bullet penetrated the ground deep enough that the fucking oil well that was randomly there started leaking oil. So, in a nutshell, he discovered oil, and his redneck hillbilly family ended up moving to Beverly Hills. I don't remember what they did once they're in Beverly Hills, but I also don't remember, like if you're a redneck family from Texas, and you strike it rich with oil, Like, just because you make millions of dollars doesn't mean you have to move to Beverly Hills. Why would they move to Beverly Hills? Were they getting into the movie industry? That fish out of water, like, come from somewhere, end up in another place, needs a more logical story than that. Like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's in West Philadelphia, born and raised. He gets into some trouble in the neighborhood. His parents are like, you know what? This neighborhood is a place where people often get in trouble. It's West Philadelphia, for God's sakes. You happen to have an auntie and uncle that live in Bel Air, California. I don't know why we're just sending you there and not the rest of the fucking family that still lives in West Philadelphia. I don't remember if he had brothers or sisters or what on that show. But that made sense. Now you got this kid from West Philadelphia in Bel Air, fish out of water, guy from the city. Now with all the rich folks, hilarity ensues. In the case of the Beverly Hillbillies, they're from Texas and they discover oil. Now they got all this money. So they get in their fucking junky-ass car, which is part of the intro, and they pack all their shit in it. It looks funny as shit. They got this big-ass, like they're all sitting like it looks like they're riding a horse and buggy because they got all their stuff in this fucking shitty car. And I guess they drive from Texas to Beverly Hills. First of all, they couldn't spend fucking one day buying a better car before they made the move. Second of all, they couldn't afford to hire movers. Maybe they never heard of that. But mostly, third of all, if they've never hired movers and they don't know how to buy a car, how the fuck did they figure they should move to Beverly Hills? How they even heard of Beverly? I mean, this guy's out in his backyard shooting for fucking squirrels and trying to find squirrel meat to eat. How does he even know that Beverly Hills is a place? They just assume that fucking you're supposed to move to Beverly Hills. Maybe there's something beyond that. They didn't have reality TV back then. They didn't have some producer in Hollywood. I just found out about this family, the Clampetts. I read this story in the New Yorker about the Clampetts. They just came across a bunch of money. We really need to do a profile on them and then possibly a reality show on them. It's called The Beverly Hillbillies. It's going to be a reality show about this family that moves from Texas to Beverly Hills, and they stop being polite and start being real. We're going to break the family up. Reality TV wasn't even a thing back then. But, it's a fucking fake TV show. They don't need a plot. Everything doesn't need to be explained. It is a fake television show that never happened really. So really probably what happened, hypothetically but realistically what probably happened is there were some people thinking like what, probably driving around Beverly Hills thinking like what would happen if my uncle and them were out here. Some dude that moved to LA to be in the movie business, that became a writer, looking for ideas. Taking a drive through the hills. He looks around and is like, dude, what if my Uncle Rick lived out here? That motherfucker would be out in the backyard shooting at squirrels right next to the Playboy Mansion. That would be a hilarious show. Beverly Hillbillies. Probably the name came first. Great idea for a show, especially back then. I don't know that I got a lot more to say. I'm going a little nuts, man. Going a little crazy. So today I've talked about the Beverly Hillbillies. Made up a fake story about the evil soy empire versus the good yet turned evil almond milk empire of Donald Califia. I made a briefly said you shouldn't sell out or something like that. I think I started with, I think that's about it. And you only get to live one time, and this is how I spend this valuable moment, this valuable 30 minutes to an hour, just wasting my time and yours with useless information. You know what I should be doing right now? Volunteering at a soup kitchen. You know what I should be doing right now? Talking to my mother and father on the phone. You know what I should be doing right now? I should be out looking for a fucking mate or something. Getting old, man. Old, single, no kids. I think yesterday I was like, I think you're supposed to have kids, dude. It's one of the only things that human beings do. One of the only things that there's only a few things that human beings are built to do. Eat, sleep, drink water, not get drunk, drink. Eat, drink, sleep, and have sex. Now, eating, drinking, and sleeping keep yourself alive, keep you energized, and having sex, not only is it nice during, but it keeps the species alive. And then I guess you're supposed, not everybody does, but you're supposed to like raise your kid. I mean, if nobody does, the kid will just die. If a girl pops out a baby and then just walks away, the baby's gonna die. So we have to raise our kids. And I think that people that don't do that, people that don't have kids, there's some type of lack of balance within them. I think that's natural. So maybe that's why I fucking sit here and talk about almond milk. Who knows? Let's go to questions and shout-outs. Okay. Where are we at here? Let me shut down a couple of these windows. Let me hit the little red dot on the top of these windows and pull up this document / application. Shout-outs this week. We got, first of all, I want to shout out to the Texas Road Stand, official restaurant of Wax's podcast. Shout out to Ghost in the Pines. Go down there in Cedar Creek, Texas, and get yourself a motherfucking burger. I gotta check out the menu. I haven't actually looked at the menu over there, or been to the place. But I know that burgers is the specialty. So you wouldn't catch Donald Califia there probably, but you probably would catch Steve Silk. Steve Silk would be like, "Let me get all your burgers," and then he would look at Ghost in the Pines, aka Marion, in the face, and then just throw all the burgers in the trash can and say, "I don't care about the earth. My thing that I enjoy is deceiving everybody on the earth and pretending like I care and then not behind their back." "Where'd you get this burger?" "The local butcher." He goes to the local butcher. "Where'd you get this cow?" "The local farmer, Farmer Tim down by the dell." He's like, "Thank you." And then Steve Silk goes down to where Farmer Tim raises cows, waits till the middle of the night, goes back there in the woods with his little fucking rifle, just looking like Jed Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies, and just starts bucking. Sounds like goddamn Columbine back there. He runs away. Skirt. Because he ran to his fucking car. I mean, he owns the Silk Empire. He's got a fast car. And when Farmer Tim comes out in the morning, all his cows are dead. He wouldn't have guessed the guy from Silk. Soy products did it. As a matter of fact, the atrocity is discovered. The next day, the atrocity of Tim is discovered. Everybody's saddened. Ghost in the Pines, the Texas Road Stand, the local butcher. Where's he going to get his cow meat from now? Everybody's saddened, and it actually becomes national news. And wouldn't you know it, Steve, on behalf of Silk Soy Products Incorporated, puts out a touching letter to Tim in the New Yorker magazine, saying, "I can't believe that somebody would do something like this. On behalf of all plant-based philanthropists everywhere, in the name of Donald Califia, the late, great, we stand against this atrocity as one. Whoever did this needs to get justice served upon them. I can't believe this. This is shocking. And his letter goes viral. Everybody across the entire world, from the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, to Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany, every world leader except for Donald Trump praises him for his wonderful and kind words of encouragement and support to the farmer Tim that got all his cows shot. But in the back of his twisted, perverted mind, Steve still can't. He's just jerking off. He's at his house naked, just jerking off. He not to porn. He's surfing the web for all these people praising him, and he's just jerking off, thinking about how badly he deceived everybody. And every time he comes, he shoots a fucking chicken in the face. He's a psychotic man. Anyway. Shout outs this week. A-Def and J-Def. Shout out to y'all. Some of the listeners that I actually know personally. A-Def and J-Def of San Clemente, California. Evan from Flint, Michigan. We got the one and only Young Lampshade. Didn't I get an actual letter from Young Lampshade? I didn't write this shit down. I wanted to write down. Did I fuck this up? Oh yeah, okay. You got to peep the new video by Young Lampshade. He sent me his new video. It's called Short Bus. Just search for Short Bus or Young Lampshade or Hughes, Hues. Young Lampshade has so many names that it's almost confusing at this point, Young Lamp. But he was from the Short Bus gang, from the Shrivel Fig squad. And then he is Young Lampshade, but he is also Hughes. A lot of names. But they're all great names. Especially Young Lampshade. But go check out his new video. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Next on the list of shout-outs, we got Mike from Long Branch, New Jersey. And if you remember last week on the podcast, or maybe two podcasts ago, there's also a listener named Mike from West Long Branch, New Jersey. And according to Mike from regular Long Branch, New Jersey, it's not like West Long Branch, New Jersey is the western part of Long Branch, New Jersey. It's a whole separate town. Just like anybody in L.A. Knows that Hollywood and North Hollywood are two. They don't even connect. Hollywood and North Hollywood have towns in between them and shit. Whereas Hollywood and West Hollywood is its own town, but it connects. It is the western side of Hollywood. But that's probably the case with West Long Branch, New Jersey. It's got its own post office, zip code, etc. But Mike from Long Branch, New Jersey wants to tell Mike from West Long Branch, New Jersey, that their bands should play together and they should have the show sponsored by the Texas Road Stand. Mike from Long Branch, New Jersey said it should be called the Wax's Podcast Fest. They should do a festival. I think that I didn't even want to say that because I think that nobody would attend. I think there'd be 2 attendees. I think there'd be 3 because there's probably another listener from South Long Branch, New Jersey named Mike that has a band as well that listens to Wax's podcast. But yeah, you guys should do a show together. All right, we got Ryan H. We got Paul V. And also we have Mark from Kingston. And that is not Kingston, Jamaica. I think that's Kingston. I think it's definitely in Canada somewhere. All right, this first little mini joint is from a little mini email that I'm reading from Lano Prod, Laynoprod. My music recommendation for your next podcast is My Beat Tapes. I've been making a lot of music this summer, and I got 3 beat tapes up on Spotify. Just search Lano Prod, as I spelled before, Laynoprod. And the 3 beat tapes are called Midnight at Max Cade, Happy Beats, and Influence. These beat tapes, which contain 30 hip-hop instrumentals in total, are also available on my website at lanoprod.bandcamp.com. He says, please have the listeners check out my Bandcamp page if they're an artist/rapper/singer looking to buy beats, or have them check out my Spotify page if they just want to listen to study and work out to. Actually, if I was in school still, if I was studying, it blows my mind still when people say they study to my music. Yeah, I used to study to your music in college. I don't understand how you study to music with lyrics. I can't like read and think when some other asshole is thinking and talking in the background. Whenever I studied to music, it had to be instrumental with even as little melody as possible. Like I see how people do. I think classical music would be good study music. I never did that, but I think if I had it all to do over again, if I could turn back time and I could study again, I'd take back the funk that I used to listen to, and instead I'd listen to classical. Did you hear the modulation? Anyway, this next one is from Mike T, the ex-robot. Mike T, if you don't remember, he's the multi-currency man / ex-security guard. Morning, Wax. Congrats on making 150 podcasts, but that's not why I'm messaging you. Oh, by the way, I should have made this a thing. Today's the 23rd of August. Guess what the 22nd of August was? That was the 5-year anniversary of Wax's podcast. 5 years. The first Wax's podcast I put out was 5 years ago on August 22nd. So I did no social media post and nothing special for the occasion. Because as I said, when you're your own boss, it's very easy to give yourself time off and be lazy. Yeah. So the 5-year anniversary of Wax's podcast. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to go to fucking Cheesecake Factory? Buy myself a slice? Buy myself a piece of cheesecake and put 5 candles on it and blow it out and eat it? I'm not going to do anything. Anyway, congrats on making 150 podcasts, but that's not why I'm messaging you. I sat there, is what it should say, listening to your podcast, enjoying a nice cup of coffee, and out of the fucking blue, Danny from Sheffield is who he's referring to. Both of these people are from the UK. Mike, I can't remember what part of the UK Mike T is from, but Danny is from Sheffield. Out of the blue, fucking Danny comes out and starts chatting shit. So please, can you pass a message on for me? Okay. Starts chatting shit. I love how like the same terms are barely different amongst English-speaking countries. Like in, the UK, when they're drunk, they're pissed. Pissed would only mean angry in the United States. And in Australia, they say they take the piss out of someone, which means they're insulting them. Here, we would never, ever say that somebody was chatting shit about me. Hey, man, you better stop chatting shit. Hey, man, why you got to chat shit about me? Now, I swear to God, Mike, I've never heard that phrase until today. Anyway, this is the message Mike T wants to give to Danny from Sheffield. Quote, Danny, don't be chatting shit. You are known on this podcast for recommending a gay story podcast about some shit no one cares about. I'm known for starting beef with the host of the podcast, other listeners, and fighting robots. The best thing to come out of Sheffield was Sean Bean. Are you Sean Bean, Danny? No? Then no one cares. No one gives a fuck about you. No one gives a shit about Sheffield. No one gives a fuck about S-Town and all caps. No one gives a fuck about what Wax's first experience on MDMA was like, so stop asking. End quote. Then he continues, fucking Sheffield people. Anyway, Wax, what was your first experience on MDMA like? From Mike T, the ex-robot. So there you have it. There you have it. It's been a couple episodes since we had some beef. But I think that me, as well as Ed from Chicago, could be happy. That, it used to be kind of like Ed from Chicago versus the UK, which was Danny and Mike T. But as is often done in culture, as the leaders tend to do, which me and Ed apparently are, We'd rather see the divide and conquer strategy work, so we have to do less work. And right now, the main beef seems to be between Mike T and Danny from Sheffield, whereas the American alliance remains strong, which is America remains strong and united, which is totally unlike actuality. Happens to be that actuality is much different than Wax's podcast in this case. Just like the story that was told earlier about the soy versus almond empires, which will eventually fall, just like every empire. Don't forget that. Actuality and Wax's podcast are two very different things. So, yeah, I don't know who Sean Bean is. Who the fuck is Sean Bean? Should I? I'm going to look him up real quick to see what. I'm going to guess he's a fucking cricket player or soccer player. Oh, he's an actor. Sean Bean. An English actor. So he's the actual Mr. Bean. Am I right? I don't know who the fuck that is. I'm sure he's fucking famous and did a bunch of stuff, but I'm so bad with actors. I never, ever, 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 ever watch movies. I watch a movie like once a year. It's not a documentary. I can't fuck. I don't know. Unless it's me talking on my podcast, I don't really fuck with fantasy. Like, as soon as I see a dragon, I'm like, that didn't happen. Me and my brother are like the same way with that. Like, I don't give a fuck about Game of Thrones. I super don't give a fuck about science fiction, comic book characters, Superman, superheroes, Batman. I don't care. As soon as I see them start flying, I'm like, men can't fly. Maybe I'm not a dreamer. Maybe that's why I haven't gotten further in my career. Because I don't dream hard enough. I don't think that the impossible is possible. Maybe that's my problem. This next one's from Chris M. This is an interesting one here. I love this one. This is fucking hilarious to me. It's not hilarious. That sounded wrong, but one aspect of it is hilarious. Hey, Wax, don't worry about promoting Tsunami. That was Tsunami Premium Vapor on the podcast anymore. I will be leaving that company at the end of the month to pursue a career which is more web design and less marketing. As you might have guessed, nobody has used your coupon code. For the last few episodes of the podcast, I've been trying to help Chris M out, help Tsunami Premium Vapor, which is the vape company that he works for out of Michigan. They gave me a code for 10% off for my listeners. Guess how many times it was used? Not once. Which I told Chris in an email, it doesn't surprise me that much. I feel like if somebody's going to buy something that's relatively expensive like that, they want to see it in person. I don't buy that much stuff online. I mean, I don't. First of all, it's Tsunami Premium Vapor. A lot of people don't vape. A lot of people don't do, some of the vape is like the, I guess, what do you call it? Vape, tobacco vapor, nicotine vapor. I don't know what you call the non-weed vape. But the non-weed vape is available at so many places. Why would you buy it online? A. And the weed one is, I guess, more expensive and you want to buy it personally, or I don't know. There's so many companies that sell it. I don't know. Regardless, advertising on Wax's podcast was very, 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 very ineffective. Not one person used the coupon code. Anyway, he continues. I really appreciate you trying it out for me. I particularly enjoyed the sponsorship you did on your musical episode, which was amazing, by the way. Thank you so much. I remember that. We sang a song about Tsunami Premium Vapor. I don't remember how it went. But not many people. It didn't do much in terms of marketing, so maybe it wasn't catchy enough. Maybe if we would have sang a catchier song about Tsunami Premium Vapor, then a month later somebody's walking down the street and they're like, I want to buy some vape products. Where should I go? Wait a second. Doom, scream, scream, scoo-doo, scream, scream, scream. Well, no, that's the Jeopardy theme. That happens to be in my head because I watched it last night. Scream, Tsunami Vapor, boom, boom. Whatever the fucking melody was, it was catchy. Gets in their head and they go straight to the site. Who knows? Maybe tons of people bought stuff from it, just forgot to use the code. I don't know. Anyway, he says, if any, Chris M continues. If you or any of the podcast listeners know of any good web design jobs, please let me know. I'm willing to move anywhere at this point, but I'm looking for something fairly specific. I'm looking for either a WordPress web designer job where I would either be in charge of creating and maintaining a company's website or a job working for a company that designs websites for multiple companies. Aside from that, I would also take a job as junior web designer developer job. I would also take a junior web designer / developer job where I could learn the developer aspect while on the job. I'm not really looking for freelance work unless it pays really well. I can verify that Chris M is good at his job, loves web design, a very hard worker, somebody trying to succeed. And if you know anybody, you could email beatsforwax@gmail.com, beatsforwax@gmail.com. But sometimes it takes me a while to get to those emails, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the best way to get people in touch with you, Chris. For now, just email me. at beatsforwax. Maybe put your subject line in all caps and say something about the job for Chris M. So I can, next time I check that email, instead of just going through it in order like I normally do, which makes me get to the emails really, really late, I can scan the inbox titles, subjects, and look for stuff for Chris M. Or Chris, why don't you if you want me to give out your email address on the podcast, I can. I don't think it'll be a big deal. Or you can make a new fucking Chris M. Wax's podcast job at gmail.com or some shit or whatever the fuck. Let me know. Let me know if you want me to give out an email address where people can reach you. But if this announcement has the same amount of effectiveness as it did for selling vape products for Tsunami Premium Vapor, you might as well get your LinkedIn profile ready or whatever, because you ain't gonna find shit through me. Anyway, Chris continues. I'm not really looking for freelance work unless it pays really well. Anyways, enough about me. Then he gives me some praise about the Acoustic Monday series and stuff. That series is over. I didn't do one this past Wednesday. I know that I said I'd do it through the end of August, which I pretty much did. But I'm done doing it. I'm my own boss. I'm fucking done doing it. Just got kind of a fucking annoying. Every Monday I'd have to go sit in my yard. It's 100 and a gazillion degrees up here. I feel like 11 episodes, 11 original songs. It's pretty good. Now it's time for me to work on finishing the album of acoustic material, which actually has a couple songs that are not from that series. Some of the songs from that series also will not be on the album. I'm trying to figure it out. I am not a perfect man. I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have, okay? I appreciate it, Chris. If anybody has a job to help out Chris, hit me up. Or if you just want to send a letter, or if you want to fucking get a shout out, or if you want to recommend something for the listeners, beatsforwax@gmail.com. That is FOR, not the number 4. All right. We got Blaine S. from Camino Jazz Club. I don't know if that is a club or I think it's a band. Let me see. Camino. Let me put the microphone while I'm looking down. Let me put the microphone right to my nose. Okay, that was enough. Camino Jazz Club. Oh, this is a person's. Is this him? What's up, everyone? I guess this is him. I don't know. I'm assuming this is him. Yeah, I'm just gonna guess that this must be him. I think that I guess that's your name as a artist. Yeah, it must be. Yo, Wax, long-time listener here from Toronto. Day one, you have answered a few of my questions before on the podcast before. It got me through university, man. I'm glad to hear that. Also, loving the Acoustic Mondays. Hella inspiring. And has gotten me learning a lot of new jazzy style chords. I also wanted to say thanks to the podcast for introducing me to a dope Toronto rapper, Skeevious Tips. Him and I now have been collabing and kick it from time to time. Yeah, Skeevious Tips. I met Skeevious Tips at, I might have met him before this as well, but I definitely met him at the Team Backpack event in Brooklyn, New York. He's a great dude. Continuing on with Blaine S's, a.k.a. Camino Jazz Club's podcast email. Podcasting bringing people together, man. Now my questions. The first one is, why do you use a fret wrap? What's the benefit to them? Why did you start using them? Second question is, how the fuck do you get over a girl you love? Talk about two questions that couldn't be further from each other. I went into a deep depression of some hella bad thoughts and shit, and everyone keeps telling me time heals everything, but goddamn, I just want shit to get better. You don't got to answer that one. I know it's a whole bunch of bullshit. I am just at a weird moment in my life. I just finished school, don't have a job, girl, or anything. All I got is music. Either way, I'm trying to find myself, which is why me and a few of my friends from Canada are coming to LA for the first week of November to catch one of your Sunday shows. That's awesome. That is awesome. I hope you guys will have a good time at that. Speaking of which, September 3rd. September 3rd is the next Wax and Friends at the West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica, California. Me, T-Rex, Epic Lloyd. Epic Lloyd is at this one from half of the duo that produces the Epic Rap Battle series on YouTube. And a good friend of mine will be performing. And then Sean Hamron, hilarious comedian, as well as Leah Richardson, hilarious comedian. We'll all be performing, and it is the day before Labor Day. So if you want to come out and not worry about work the next day, have a good time, maybe have a couple drinks, what have you, it's going to be an awesome time. West Side Comedy Theater, September 3rd at 9 p.m., the next installment of Wax and Friends. So where was I at when I said that? Oh, yeah. Can you recommend some cool stuff to do in L.A. while we're there? I want to see some underground comedy and punk shows. Also, hotel or Airbnb? ? Sorry for the sporadic, long-winded email. Look forward to hearing from you. Peace out, Wax. Much love, y'all. All right. Let's go through these questions in order, shall we? The first question is, why do you use a fret wrap? What's the benefit to them? Why did you start using them? A fret wrap is this thing that you put on the top of your... This is really only for people that play guitar. You put it on the fret. It looks like a capo almost. But it's just something that's supposed to rest on your strings, sometimes even above the fucking whatever. It's supposed to rest on your strings. Look it up if you're a guitar player interested in it. But what it does is it relieves a lot of excess noise. And when you play an acoustic guitar and also do a lot of palm muting, which is kind of how I play a lot of the jazzy shit. Like if you look at my song called Better Than Normal, that particular song, I might not even have, can't remember if I had it on. I must have. Yeah, I did. During when I played that on when I played that song on YouTube for the Acoustic Mondays, the song Better Than Normal. That song is the reason I started using it, because I would get all these additional harmonic sounds from those chords. Like every time, glink, glink, like I do the glink, 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 glink. I get all these additional harmonic sounds, and that helps to get rid of them. I found out about those things from my boy Pat Dimitri. Shout out to him. He's a guitar player, real shredder. He plays for Watsky. They're in Europe right now. Go check him out if you're in Europe. I don't know where the fucking, be like he's in America right now. Go check him out. I don't know where the fuck he's at in Europe, but Pat Dimitri's there with him using his fret wraps. And it gets rid of excess string noise. So for something really subtle like that acoustic palm mute shit, it helps out a lot. That song was the reason I even started using it. All right, your second question: how the fuck do you get over a girl you love? That if you go back and listen to every single episode of my podcast, that is as far as questions that have nothing to do with music, that's the most often question I receive here on the podcast. And trust me, I get it. Most of us do. I don't know how old you are. It sounds like you're probably in your early 20s, and then so it might be the first one. The first time that you have like a really bad heartbreak, when you break up, when you have something happen with the girl that you're in love with, and then it's all over. And then the reason that you even type these questions in emails, because you can't even type an email. You can't go the amount of time that it takes to do anything without thinking about her. Just constantly on your mind. It takes over your mind. I like to say that it's like when you open up a web browser, you have a default page. Mine is Google. Thought that when your brain starts thinking, it has a default page, which is, in the cases of heartbroken people, the person they're heartbroken about. That's their default page. They can't think about anything without first thinking about them, or almost shortly afterwards thinking about them. It's just something that you can't get out of your fucking mind. And when these people around you say that time heals everything, they're absolutely right. The problem is, it's not like you wake up one day and you're healed. It's a very, very slow process, depending on how deep you were into it. So, yes, they're right, but it could take a long fucking time. And it's very much like, in my opinion, it's very much like a physical injury. It gets healed, and you're kind of you're kind of even stronger afterwards. I think in my case, it's I've had a little too many of those things, and now I think that I might have gone through enough heartbreak and healing that I don't think that I can fall in love with a girl. I don't think that I have. I'm starting to think that I can't fully do that. The last one, I don't know. I think that I might be unable to fully do that. I become so self-focused that I might. Yeah, I think that it just in order to heal, you have to focus on yourself. You know what I'm saying? You have to do things that are good to yourself, and after a while, I think you start to learn that that's more important or something, even though that might not be true. And it makes you more self-absorbed and less able to be in a healthy relationship, I guess. Anyway, let's go from that to recommendations of stuff to do in LA. You want to see some underground comedy and punk shows. I don't know anything about underground punk shows. I've actually been to a couple, but I don't remember. Where was that one? Fuck. Any underground punk show that's cool that you're going to go to is going to be on the east side. It's going to be in Echo Park or Silver Lake, maybe downtown. And I would recommend going on the internet or asking some people. Go to a fucking coffee shop in Echo Park and ask some dude that looks cool where to go to see some punk shows. Personally, I would recommend, as far as quote-unquote underground comedy, First of all, while you're in LA, forget underground comedy for one night. Go to the fucking Comedy Store, because you'll see some underground shit there too. The Comedy Store is it's Hollywood, but it's underground. It's like the dark side of Hollywood. You'll see some famous people there, but they're probably on coke. I really like that place. I think it's a great place to take for a night out on the town for somebody that's never been here before. I think that's a good place to go. As far as underground comedy, there's a lot of it, but the thing about underground comedy, a lot of it is not cool like punk shows. A lot of it sucks. A lot of it sucks and is boring. Not saying all of it is, but a lot of it that I've gone to is. Again, I don't fucking know, dude. I've lived here for 10 years, and when somebody asks me to recommend something, I'd say fucking go to Venice Beach. I don't know anything. I'm not cool. I don't know about cool stuff. I don't know about good restaurants. That's not true. I don't know where you're going to be at. I know a couple good Mexican restaurants. Fun places to eat. There's a lot of good sushi. You should look up. I'm not an expert, though. Use Google and find people who are experts on stuff like that. And use their recommendations. They're usually pretty on point. Yeah. So good luck with that, Blaine. Good luck with the woman. Good luck with whatever else. And to everybody out there listening to this podcast, happy 5-year anniversary of my podcast. And be safe out there.